welcome to the European Ham Radio Show, or as we could call it, for Norwegians and a German ham radio show. But it sounds a lot better with the European Ham Radio Show. I'm coming from way north of the, not way, I'm coming from north of the Arctic Circle today, just barely north of the Arctic Circle, but I am north of the Arctic Circle. So as far north as anyone has ever been on the European Ham Radio Show. Besides that, we got a guest down, let's see, down there. Øystein, LB8 India Juliet from the excellent ham radio channel, Ham Radio Passion. He's stepping in for Walt, which is probably enjoying nice summer weather on the east coast of the United States. And we already have some comments on your call sign there, Bob.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm not the only one that that's noticed, apparently.
And for those of you who are just listening to the podcast, Bob is called Alpha Oscar 75 LB5JJ today. And I see that Kjetil has changed his call sign as well. So we're going to do a little bit of a change today on the show. We're skipping the Ham Radio Week segment because that just simply takes way too much time out of our, at least when we actually have a topic. And we're doing the Ham Radio Moment of the Week this week. So, Bob, what's your Ham Radio moment this week?
That was supposed to be moment, not moments?
Yeah, yep. in singular.
Yeah, all right. I'll try to settle for one. I've been doing actually 2 days, but I'll just talk about one of them, I guess, doing combined summits on the air and parks on the air activations. Yesterday was pretty rotten weather from the morning, but it was the forecast said that it was going to be sunny and nice from about 4 in the afternoon. So I went up to one of the, I think, 3 summits in our county that are also parks. And just as I started walking up, I ran into Lima Bravo 9 Hotel India, Mihai, coming down from that summit, and he was on his way to the next one. So I joined him up there on the next one. That was Reisa, Lima Alpha Victor Fox 012, I think that is. And we were sitting there in a 1.5 hour long pileup, basically. That was extremely good fun. Basically, Europe, we got Amir, I think that's 6X4TT or something. I can't remember his call sign, but yeah, in Israel. And we topped it off by running South Africa at the end. So pretty amazing combined summits on the air and parks on the air activation. And of course, this has been the Support Your Parks weekend, I think. And it was also meant to be a DX type weekend. Someone told me last week to try and get transatlantic contacts between summits. I managed a grand total of 0 of those, but had a good time anyway. That's my highlight.
Zero is better than, no, wait, it's not better than nothing. Never mind.
It's just as good as nothing.
Yeah, just as good as nothing. That's a good way of saying it. Kjetil, your ham radio moment this week?
That was today. I hiked up to the first SOTA summit that I successfully activated way back in 2017. Really nice to get back there. I have a much lighter backpack now, so it was actually an enjoyable experience this time. But last time, like, it was my 4th attempt at a SOTA that time, and it worked. So that was fun, and I learned so much since then. But today, beautiful day, beautiful weather, sunny, warm, at least almost 10 degrees Celsius. So it's t-shirt weather while hiking up, and decent band conditions. No DX, but yeah, I got 20 in the log. I enjoyed some lovely food up on the summit, and then went home again. That was, yeah, my moment of the week.
Nice. And I'm noticing that this is taking a lot shorter now. We're not even 5 minutes into the show.
Are
We
you
can
worried?
comment it later.
I am not worried. I am not worried by any means. Let's go. Let's just do it in order. Øystein, what's your ham radio moment this week?
Okay. This week has been a little ham radio. I did have one activation up on Jerndalsfjell with a lot of local noise from our power line. But so I'm going to stretch it a bit to the 10 days ago. I made this antenna since it's on topic and everything. It's a quarter wave ground plane antenna with a whip. And I made it so I could move quickly between the parks. It's hard. Yeah, let me see if I can get it better. So it's a whip on top.
That's just
and we have some,
standard 5-meter whip, isn't it?
Yeah, standard 5-meter whip and some 5-meter radials, 4 radials, and a ground spike and coax attached, so I can just jump between parks. And I managed to make my first 5-park rover. So that was a lot of fun. And it was 10 days ago. It was on Thursday, I think. Yeah, it was weird conditions. I got good signal reports, but quite few hunters. I did activate the first park on purely on CW. Took a lot of time. The second park, I took 5 or 6 contacts on CW and then jumped to SSB to complete the park. But that was fun also to do some CW. It's not too often. It's SSB from parks. It's not too often. I got to speak to the people I usually send CW with, and I managed to activate the 5 parks, and that was a lot of fun in Fredrikstad.
Just one question of the rove. Was this your first rove?
Yeah, it was my first rove. I did a half rove with you. I was part of your rove. What was the name of the park again?
That was Lima Alpha 0876 and 2542. A twofer there.
Yeah, so I didn't have time to complete your row, but you managed to do that row, and I had to wait until now.
That row felt a little bit like cheating because I did a twofer and a threefer, so I only stopped 2 places. But still, if you want to do it properly, like me and Bob, and let's see who else joined us for that. LB7VJ joined us for that. We tried a row using a different radio and a different antenna, and no twofers at one point.
We also did at least 2 different countries.
Yeah, two countries, 5 radios, 5 antennas. That is not a good chance of making actually the rove. We managed 3.5 parks on that activation.
Yeah, I did 1 twofer and then 3 single parks, so 4 different locations, and then they're really close. The parks I did in close to Öra Nature Reserve in Fredrikstad. It's they're really close. 2 of the parks are just a track between. So
I've seen those two parks, so that makes it a lot easier. I've actually tried to find a point where those 2 parks intersect, but I don't think they do. So I think it's
I don't think they ever do. It's only the tracks that intersects in Norway.
Yeah. So on each side of the trail, there's 2 different parks, basically. Tobias, what's your ham radio moment of the week?
Not a lot of ham radio moments. Temperature dropped back to normal for the season, so it's raining with 5 degrees or so. So I, did the overdue aquarium maintenance. This is how it looked after 1 hour or 1.5 hour work. And this is how it looked in the evening yesterday on Saturday. And this is how it looked after the maintenance. So, basically, when the weather was nice, I spent my days outside doing ham radio, and the tank was a bit, a bit of a mess, but at the very moment it looks fine. So we can do this and we can enjoy it for the rest of the show. So no
Awesome.
ham radio at all this week, but yeah, necessary stuff to do.
Happy
Yeah.
50s.
But some weeks are like that. I could also do my ham radio week this week because I have done one ham radio related thing this week. I on Thursday when I got home from work, I started playing a little bit with this BlueStacks DMR hotspot or Digimode hotspot because since I don't need a Pi, I can use a hotel Wi-Fi easily by just hooking this up to a Windows computer, which is sometimes nice. But while I started looking into that, I figured perhaps I should do as my fellow club members have asked me for about 2 years to have a talk on DMR. So an hour later, I did an improvised DMR talk and told a lot of people that did not know what DMR was, what it was, and had a live demonstration of DMR. And that's exactly my ham radio week. Besides that, I had a plan. I am in Bodø, north of the Arctic Circle, for work now for a couple of days. I even managed to get one of those nice hotel rooms with a beautiful view of the harbor. Doesn't really show up well on a webcam, but so I had a plan.
Didn't bring a pool noodle. That's a mistake.
I did not bring a pool noodle. I didn't even bring an HF radio, and I kind of regret. I didn't think I'd have time to do it. Turned out that I would have had time to do it today. And there's a Atno 900 meters from the hotel, but I have no HF with me, so that's no opportunity at all. I did bring an SDR and a small loop just to see how propagation is here compared to southern Norway, and see if there are any differences in propagation and what you can pick up and hear. Although I'll be doing this on a cheap loop bought on Banggood, eBay, or AliExpress. I can't even remember where I bought it, so it might not be a proper test, but I'm going to have a look into that.
Fun thing is that when you're up there, you're actually within skip for 20 meters within Norway, which is rather uncommon. Like you're as far away as like Rome or something like that. Rome
Not quite as far,
but Morten, can you show us on a map where you are at the moment? Because I'm at least a geographic not completely imbecile.
Let's see
so maybe that's interesting for the viewers to.
I could probably
see how much further north you have traveled to your usual home location.
And actually, that's the city closest to the place I grew up, Stegen. I grew up in Bodø. Is really close to where I'm from.
I can share it if it's.
I'm going to try to do this. You could probably do that instead of me trying to do everything on a hotel Wi-Fi on a small laptop screen.
Yep, I'm sharing now, so please add it in.
I'm gonna press.
Sorry.
And we have two producers here, so
this is Bodø. It's quite far north in Norway.
Could you zoom in a little bit?
Yes.
Just on the airport there, because this airport played an important role in the Cold War.
Yeah.
When the U-2 plane was shut down over Soviet, they refueled at the airport here. And the actual length of the runway is actually classified, which is kind of funny when you can zoom in like that on Google Maps.
you can see on the left side there's a secret hidden part of the runway that you're not supposed to notice.
Yeah, you cannot see this. So also this you can't see.
But they are closing down the military part of the runway, and they're actually going to move the airport about a kilometer further south to make room for to expand the city.
Yeah, you're about here, right? Hotel Ramsdal?
I'm exactly there.
Yes, looked like that on the view. So this is how far north this is? 75 degrees?
It can be 75 when Norway is 71 degrees, so I'm guessing about 69 degrees north.
67.
67. Yep.
So that's up here. Oh, don't zoom. Oh, stop zooming. And usually he lives down here near the Swedish border.
And if you right click there, and you can measure the distance.
Yep.
If you at
Yeah,
the bottom.
here.
Yep. And then you click on top where I'm at.
Yep. Ah, God. Angry words.
You can actually zoom in and still click though.
Yeah. So it's about 900 kilometers,
Yep.
give or take. So pretty far north, and like this is Lofoten, which is really famous. Lots of tourists go there.
Yeah.
So this is, but still driving up here to North Cape, which is the northernmost point. That's what 24 hours of driving or so from where you are.
I would think so.
Yeah.
So but I'm about as far as northern Alaska.
Yeah.
Right now.
So if you look here, that would be 70 degrees north.
Yep.
Yep.
So this is it's pretty far off. And going there to the States, it's quite a while over.
Yep. But I'm actually closer to Alaska than any other part of the United States at the moment.
So if we drag this down, that's 1,000 kilometers more to down there. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm up here on a business trip, and so don't really plan to do much ham radio. Wish I'd brought my radio because it's been 8 degrees and sunny weather today, so it's been perfect weather to go to park and activate.
Yeah, lots of aurora activity this weekend. Was it G3 storm or something like that yesterday, or G2? So probably that would hit you really hard up there.
Yeah, probably. So, and I would have brought QRP nonetheless. So,
Optimist.
Yeah, definitely. But I have more important stuff than the ham radio in my luggage.
Nah, come on.
Yep.
That's not possible.
Possible.
I did bring, since I'm close to a military airport and a lot of military activity in general, I bought a receiver though.
So if we don't see Morten next week, then we know the reason.
You should put have a Yagi and point it towards the airport. Just mount it at up at the hotel room.
The thing is though, I am about a kilometer from the airport because the airport is pretty much in downtown Bodø.
Yep, I know.
So instead of waiting for a taxi or a bus from the airport, I just walked, and it took me 16 minutes to walk from the airport to the hotel. Nice.
Every major city should be like that. That would be fantastic.
Yeah. But do we have a channel this week?
We have a guest.
We have a guest. Yeah, he's got a channel. Øystein, talk about your channel as this radio's this week's channel.
Okay. Should I introduce it?
Yeah, you can introduce your channel.
Okay.
We obviously prepared for this.
I think I kind of
as always.
I kind of continued in the same path as I started with the showing, bringing you along as I make all the errors, and you can get to enjoy my journey on learning CW, and yeah, just having fun. And I hope, when I tried to do this 5-part grove, and I think I just there wasn't too many hunters doing CW, so I had to turn to SSB. So I kind of want more people here in Europe and activators and hunters to be inspired to learn CW, and so we can have.
How is your
more
training
people
going,
hunting
Bob?
us.
I'm quite a few months away from being helpful with that regard. I practiced today as well. I'm decoding up to the letter Y in the Morse code Ninja at 30 words per second and 10 words per second pulsing. So I'm getting there, but as soon as you start putting two letters next to each other, then that's where the trouble begins.
If you are doing 30 words per second, you're doing it really, really fast, Bob.
All right, let's say minute then. This is
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, 30 words per minute. I'm practicing decoding 30 words per minute in the hopes that it will stop me from counting. Sadly, it doesn't. It just stopped me from counting real time. I would just listen to it and play it back in my head and count and discover what it is and know what it is. But that's I'm not fast enough to do that with the several characters at once. So I'm struggling with that still, but still determined, still having fun.
Have you tried to shorten the distance between the letters and do 3-letter groups or something?
The Morse Code Ninja thing it's got single letters, double letters, and 3-letter groups. And I have tried, but when I do the 3-letter groups, it's really hard. And I'm not really all that successful, except when I'm extremely focused. And when it comes to just the 1 letter, I can do that while I'm driving, easy, while I do other things. So, yeah, I do practice that as well, but not as much because it's much, much harder. I have to concentrate much, much more to do it.
But I think also you learn maybe the most when you feel like you're not getting it. You're only copy maybe 60-70%. That's the optimal learning rate.
Yeah.
If you manage to take every character all the time, you're not challenging yourself enough.
All right, I will do this week. I will do the coming week. I will do the 3-letter groups, and we'll see how that works out. So I'll report back next week.
Needs somebody to do QSOs with. So
Yeah.
No QSOs this far. That will have to be on a fairly limited repertoire of characters at least, because I haven't practiced all yet.
I have started learning CW backwards at the moment, so I now know the letter E.
That's good.
Backwards, does that mean that D-Da is N?
I'm just learning. I haven't had time to practice CW for a while.
Oh, so you're unlearning.
I'm unlearning.
All
relearning
right.
CW. So the process is going backwards, and I'm now back to the letter E.
Good.
Yeah.
So,
But
but I really want to get to the point where I got something new to spend money on. That is keys. So I really want to try to reach my goal of doing an activation by the end of summer. Still.
Yeah, I'll let you in on a little secret. You don't have to be good at CW to buy keys.
yep.
No,
You're
but
perfectly entitled to buy a Bengali key without knowing CW.
Just to make a point. So yeah, you don't have to be good at CW to get the key.
no, but I got enough keys. That's not the problem though. So
but I also
ahead,
feel like I'm going a bit backwards because I've done maybe focusing too much on POTA activations and not challenging myself enough. So my speed isn't improving, and if I'm wanting to go contest or do some more rag shoe, I'm not there quite yet. So I think I have to also challenge myself a bit harder.
But there's just so many things in this hobby that takes my attention away from learning CW. There's always a much more tempting project really, really close.
That's the reason I like the Morse Code Ninja, I think, because I can do that. When you listen to the Ham Radio Workbench, I listen to Morse Code Ninja.
Yeah, but I mean, listening to Ham Radio Workbench, even though it's a long podcast, that's only a day's worth of driving for me.
If you listen to the Morse Code Ninja for an hour every day, I bet you'd that would make a difference. It did for me.
It probably will though. So, but speaking about project, that brings us on to today's topic.
That was a slim segue.
That was slim.
Hey,
I know.
Just 25 minutes, much better than last week. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vince comments that ham radio workbench costs you money like buying a Bengali key, and it does. Vince, I once bought a transverter because I listened to your show, and I sold it before I even tried it because I figured out that I didn't really want a transverter. But after listening to your show, I was convinced that I needed a transverter.
It happens.
So Ham Radio Workbench is an expensive show to listen to. Nonetheless,
it is. But before we start and get on topic, I just have to say, Vince has a YouTube channel where he talks about tips for aspiring CW operators.
Oh yeah, the
If you're
one CW
interested at all getting into CW, watch Vince's series on tips for CW operators. Most excellent stuff.
And this guy down here, Øystein, he's been featured on Vince's
he had
channel.
a really nice sequence in there, so that was good. And you can also see that your channel has grown quite a lot, Øystein, from last time you were on here. So it's good work on that, and keep it up. And also good to see that you're widening your skill set to be able to use SSB as well. So.
Yeah, now you just need FT8, and then you're good.
I started my career in ham radio on FT8, but I work a lot with computers, and I just on my free time I want to do something else. That's why I don't do a lot of FT8.
And speaking about FT8, just to ruin the topic a little bit more, I am waiting for DigiRig now for my 706.
Nice.
According to Amazon, it's on its way. So it's somewhere between Wisconsin and Norway. Apparently, tracking does not work mid-Atlantic.
One interesting part, like since we're talking about different modes here, and the topic, of course, is making your own antennas. Have any of you ever made antenna for a specific mode, meaning that like you have one that's cut to be perfect for example, FT8, or perfect or good enough for CW, or has to cover everything?
For the first 6 to 9 months, I did pretty much only FT8. So every antenna I made during that time was cut and tuned for the FT8 frequency.
Yep.
So
I've never done that with an antenna I built myself, but you know how I feel about mag loops.
They're kind of narrow.
A mag loop is perfect for FT8 and nothing else.
Yeah. I also make a lot of antennas that I cut for either the top end of the band, because when I operate, for example, SOTA, I do on 20 meters. I usually do that from 14300 and up. So I cut it so that it's should be resonant at 14250, because then it's good above it and it should be okay at the bottom of the band. Of course, you can sometimes they're wide enough that it varies quite a lot. So that's some interesting parts of it.
Also depends on the mounting. Yeah, if you slope it towards the ground, everything shifts a bit lower, I guess. Because of the capacitance on the ground.
But
like
usually,
Bob said, I in this period I've been doing CW. I always have cut my antennas for the lower end of the band, but
it's anyway the better side, because you can always go higher, right?
but I've always done it at home, and I have some weird ground conditions here. It's really rocky my at home here, and always when I go to the park, it's a different antenna. So I have to learn from my mistakes there and cut my antenna at the park.
Bring a nano VNA to the park and cut it there. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I've done that for quite a few of my antennas. The local park where I did my kilo, the Slottsfjellet park. I will bring the rig experts, soldering iron, the pliers, tape, everything up there, and cut the antenna up there. It's I think the most representative place to do that, and it's really far away from anything metallic as well. So I would say that would be the first good tip of the evening. When you're going to tune the antenna, do it someplace with a commonplace ground and away from metallic objects.
Yeah.
Mm.
But to the topic though, let's do a little bit of a round table on what was our second antenna build though. Since that's actually the topic. Tobias, what was the second antenna you built? You've been a ham for a long time, so you might not remember though.
Yeah. Well, since obviously I got the small license first, it must have been something for 2 meters, 70 centimeter. I guess I built a Yagi after the traditional, J pole antenna that you build otherwise. Yeah, I think J pole was the first, and then I built a Yagi. Might still be somewhere here, but I think I made a mistake, and I think I built it with copper pipe, yeah, and then I painted it with clear coat, but the clear coat was not really preventing the oxygen from getting in. So I had a very shiny antenna, and the copper, got a bit tarnished over the years. So that otherwise it was working fine, right? So
I guess it's a green antenna then. It's eco-friendly.
I don't think it went green, but you see some dirty blotches under the clear coat. So I don't know what that was. Maybe it reacted with the paint or with thinner or when it dried. Yeah, so it was a Yagi.
Not too bad though. My first antenna was a Yagi, so that is not recommended, by the way, to build a Yagi as your first antenna before you've barely.
I think it
tried
was
building
a
anything.
3-element, 3 directors, 1 reflector, and a loop dipole.
A folded dipole.
Exactly, because then
Yep.
it's very easy to match to 50 ohm. You just need a little bit of coax. You need a quarter wave delay piece of coax, and then you can easily match it. So that's why that one. It was working fine when it was freshly built, but I think it's dead now.
Øystein, you're a much fresher ham. What was your second antenna build?
Yeah, actually, I was wondering because when Walt can't show up, the antenna expert, and you decided to invite me, that's some shoes to fill. But okay.
He's having too much fun with his new nano VNA. That's my suspicion, right?
Yeah. He's out tuning an antenna at the moment.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to my first antenna, my second antenna, end fed half wave, 40-meter cable for 80 meters, and I just wanted to do a quick why I did like end fed half wave antennas, and I did a quick drawing here. Can I show you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because the green line. Oh, can you see the green line? Oh, it's weak.
I only see the red line, but
I see
Oh,
a
okay.
red line and another.
Here.
maybe you can
Hang on,
embiggen
The
him.
green line.
Yeah, I'm gonna find the right place to click.
Yeah, this is a half wave, and for let's say 80 meters. So the green line is 80 meters, and you have low impedance in the middle and high impedance in the ends. And if you make a dipole, you get the 80 meter resonates with low impedance, but your first harmonics, or is it called second harmonics, the 40 meters, will have high impedance in center.
Mhm.
And then your third harmonics will have a low impedance in the middle. So your antenna works on 80 meters and then theoretically on 20 meters as well, but not on 40. If you make a half wave antenna, you have always high impedance on every resonating frequency, or every on both 80, 40, 20. So it works on more bands. And the cool thing also, Morten, you have the off-center dipole, and you have some of matching impedance on the. It should be 1/3, I think.
Yeah, 1/3, 2/3.
Yeah, So my second antenna, end-fed half-wave, 49 to 1 UNN to match. It's of course there's challenges with that kind of antenna. With you have to choke a bit of the coax, and it may be more noisy, but I like it. It's easy to deploy also for POTA. You can just throw and drag the one end over the tree, and the other end is by your radio or close on the ground. So my second is this end-fed half-wave, and mounted in a inverted V up into a tree.
And the end-fed half-wave is any end-fed antenna is a perfect portable antenna, because it's just so much less hassle to put it up, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah.
And I think go ahead.
Yeah, dipole was my first antenna. It's good to easy to make, and then but I like to get on more bands, so I like end-fed half-wave to do that. And now also I've made link dipole that makes also make you able to have a resonating antenna on more bands, but it's impractical. It's practically multiple antennas in one.
And actually, there's I'm going to give you a piece of advice here as a new ham, and that's I can do it cheaper factor is always a good factor when learning how to build antennas, because Dunning-Kruger effect hits you, and you're thinking that you can really do this simpler and cheaper, and you learn something in the process. Kjetil, what was your second antenna?
It's hard to remember that far back, but no, just kidding. I believe my second antenna was a loop antenna for 2 meters. I was because I bought my first antenna for HF, like that was that heavy wire antenna I talked about before stream, I think. So I didn't need the HF antenna, although that antenna sucked. So I actually needed one, but still. So I had an issue that in my apartment I couldn't reach the repeaters, because both of the repeaters I could hit were on the other side of the block, the building I lived in, which is a high-rise building thing. So it basically blocked most of the signals. So I couldn't get out without running like 50 watts or whatever. And both of them were line of sight on the other side of the house. So I got some wire, cut it to length, and I taped it to the inside of the window as a loop. And then I soldered some coax to that and ran that into a Baofeng, like a UV5R, the first cheap Baofeng radios. And that worked like the charm. So that was a simple, permanently fixed antenna for running 2 meters indoors, and it worked. Not permanently made, of course, and but it solved the problem there and then to reach some repeaters.
And that's an important point, though. Sometimes you just need to solve a problem, and that's a good way of learning. Instead of having a solution that is looking for a problem, it's much better to have a problem looking for a solution.
Yeah, and I can't imagine it being a perfect antenna, especially since I taped it, like the windows usually have metal frames, for example, which I guess could have affected that quite a lot. I didn't have anything to measure it with. I just cut it to the calculated lengths, and it worked. So probably not good antenna.
No, but it worked, and that's the important part, though, when you come to something like this.
Yes, absolutely. And I couldn't mount anything outside the building on that side. That wasn't a technical possibility, or at least without drilling a hole in the wall. So that was my way to reach the repeaters at home.
Yep, that's a good way of doing it. Bob, what was your second antenna?
I've been a ham for just around 2 years, and I built plenty of antennas before that. So I think I'd rather talk about my second proper portable antenna that I built as a ham, if that's all right.
Yeah, you could have fooled us nonetheless, though, without the intro. We would have.
I'm an honest person, so, or I like to make it appear as I am an honest person. Yeah, because I had an inverted V dipole that I used for quite a long time doing a portable. It's really simple to bring along and really simple to set up, really simple to build. But it's not a very effective antenna for low angle radiation. And this was cut for 20 meters, so it was not really an antenna for NVIS either. So I looked into it, and I figured that the next simple antenna to build that was a lot more effective and had better low angle radiation would be a ground plane antenna with elevated radials. So I created one for 20 meters, cut for 20 meters with 3 elevated radials. And I brought that along with the 10-meter DX Commander travel pole. Basically, what I ended up with was just taping everything together. I had this fantastic idea of making all the radials and the radiator replaceable with banana plugs and whatnot, but I never did, so I basically just taped everything together. So I'll just coil that up, and the entire antenna was just one coil, and I would tape it to the DX Commander pole, and that worked really well. I would still, I think, recommend that to anyone who wants to build a single band antenna that is effective, and a ground plane antenna with elevated radials. That'll do the job. And I also did some modeling, looking at the difference between 3 and 4 radials, and that is pretty minimal. So I decided to go for 3 because I would run the radials down with the guy wires, and just guying a mast with 4 wires. That's like trying to cut the length of the table with 4 legs and getting it level. Whereas if your table has 3 legs, it's a lot easier to get it level. So I went for 3 radials because it doesn't really make that much sense with that much difference with elevated radials. And I used that antenna for the longest time. And maybe when we do the 3rd antenna, I'll talk about an even better solution that I'm using now. But that's for another day.
Yeah, just one question. Is that the antenna that we had a single QSO with when we did our Pudarov?
In the swamp?
In the valley, the ravine, whatever you want to call it.
In the ravine. Yeah, that's the antenna. I think we had 1.5 actually, but yeah, that's the one.
You had 2, I had 1, so that's 1.5.
Yeah, so that was not on the count of the antenna. I guarantee it.
It is probably not an antenna with a low radiation angle inside a ravine is probably not the best antenna choice either.
I think operating radio from inside a ravine is not the best of ideas anyway. But
I have had Victor Echo 1 Sierra Kilo from that park a couple of times.
Who hasn't had him from just about anywhere?
On any antenna.
Yeah.
So
that sounded like disrespect, and absolutely no disrespect. I think it's really nice to get the Canadian in the log.
Yeah, but it's no secret though that it's him that does the heavy lifting when you have a QSO with him.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think he's got. I'm not sure, but I think he's got a set of stacked Yagis about pretty much on salt water.
Stacked HF Yagis.
Yeah. When it's stacked 20-meter Yagis on salt water, I think.
Right. But that was something that surprised me when I started to activate parks, that you actually get more DX from parks than I ever got from home. So it's mostly, I think, because of their antennas and their setups and their Yagis pointing to me.
Oh, absolutely.
I was running just 5 watts and reaching North America all the time.
Yeah. But it's like you're on your own personal DXpedition. Now on to my second antenna, and I had the same reason for building this antenna as the Yagi that was my first antenna, and that is, I'm sure I can do this cheaper. My Yagi was built in order to get satellites, a 2-meter 70-centimeter Yagi, because I saw a buddy of mine bought an Arrow, and I figured I can do this cheaper. I did, but it took a lot of work. And my second antenna was a linked dipole, because another ham friend of mine had a Soda Beams linked dipole, and I figured I can do this cheaper. And I managed to do that. That was actually a far easier build. And I used that antenna a lot, actually. Before I started doing parks, we were a couple of hams that went just on an island in a lake, and I managed to do Norway to Arizona, I think, at the bottom of the solar cycle on 20 meters with that antenna. So not a half bad antenna, and I'm sure the guy in Arizona, first of all, he was very patient. Second of all, I think he did the heavy lifting, because I was using a G90 and a way too low linked dipole. But it builds confidence, though, and it built enough confidence that when I launched my own antenna series, I launched a linked dipole for that. And if you want to build a linked dipole, the design is open source. So if you have access to a 3D printer, you can find the design on Thingiverse. And that was my second antenna. My third antenna was is Tim's fault, since Tim is in the chat. That was a T2LT for 10 meters, which I made a video on. And I think that was the video that made Tim aware that I was on YouTube.
Yeah, I built a 10-meter L2, whatever that is, the flower pot antenna as well. Nice, simple design, I think.
Yep, absolutely.
I also, if you want to build that, talking about open source, I have someplace, I can't remember where, I have the winder for the air choke. If you're interested, it's a parametric design, so you can tell how many, the diameter and the number of turns as parameters, and you can render it with FreeCAD, I think, and you can get a winder for air chokes for such antennas. So. Yeah, if I remember, I'll put a link to that in the show notes when I put that up on the hamshow.eu.
And I mean, the fascinating part about a T2LT is that if you have coax, that is all you need. It's not by any means the easiest antenna to build. Building a J-pole is a lot easier, but then you need ladder line, and you need a plug, and you need some wire and everything. Whereas, well, you need a plug for a T2LT nonetheless, but you need a lot less parts in order to build a T2LT. Although the next time I'm going to build one, I'm not going to take off all the insulation for the inner part of the coax. I'm just going to solder a wire to it instead.
That is close to a crime, not the hinting at that when you create instructions for creating that antenna.
Yeah, because that took a whole lot of time of removing 5 meters of outer shielding and braid on a coax cable without hurting the inner core.
Did you have to start over at some point?
No, I did not have to start over. I took my time, and it took about, I think, an hour and a half to do that. And it is not the most exciting part of antenna building, I can tell you that.
The thing is, there's a design for a flower pot where you actually you remove not the shield, but just the rubber on the one half, and you fold the shield back over on the coax down the other way, and if you do that just right, then that's going to work as a choke, because then the lower part of the dipole will be on the outside of the shield that you folded down, and the choke is going to be the inside of that matched to the outside of the shield of the coax. And that, if you do it just right, these are going to cancel completely, so that's going to be a very, very good choke. It's the theory. I've never gotten that to work particularly well, but I would love to try again.
I'm not going to be that guy, but if you're making, let's say, a 10-meter T2LT, which is 2.5 meters long, how are you going to be able to fold 2.5 meters of shielding back on itself and still have it looking the right way?
It
Yeah.
looks
Yeah.
like crap, but that's not important bit.
I mean, folding it back for soldering a plug is hard enough.
I'm pretty sure that this is something that could be really simply fixed with a rather simple 3D print and a razor blade. Like you make your own wire stripper that just cuts off the coax, something that matches the diameter, and then the blade goes in exactly as deep as you want it, and it can just drag the entire thing through. That should be doable. Like there are commercial solutions for this. Should be really simple to do it yourself if you want to do that.
But
Yeah.
then you have to you still have the issue of folding the
braid back on itself.
braid back. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something else, but that's
Yeah, but
the fun of it, right?
the fun of it is that if you don't get the dimensions exactly right, you have to figure velocity factors and the velocity factor for the shield that's on the inside of the rubber shielding is different from the velocity factor inside of just the shield that you folded back. You have to get all these things correct, and if you do, it's not going to work. So basically, I think this is a trial and error type of thing. So you don't have to do this just once. You have to try and try and try till you get it just so. So pretty interesting project, but I would love to be able to do it because that would mean you have a flower pot antenna where you don't have to have the choke up on the pole.
Yeah, that is worth an experiment though to see how well that works. But I was going to say, if you want an easy 10-meter antenna, Michael Martin's KB9 VBR has a great video out on a 10-meter J pole. And the thing about that is, if you use the dimension that he mentions in the video, you're in perfect tune. I built one of those, and I just figured instead of making it long, I could just use his exact measurements, and it was spot on.
Is that one used in Sweden?
Yeah, that's the one me and Bob used in Sweden, where we had a really huge North American pileup.
Yeah, that seemed to work really well.
Yeah, that I think that was someone's got a TV on or something in the background. I think that was conditions as well, but yeah, clearly that antenna that was the business.
Now you need the noise gate Oystein. That's the problem.
Yeah. A noise gate would be nice now.
Yeah, a noise gate on the other person in the room.
I don't think calling a device that will make the sound from the XYL disappear, call that a noise gate, and I think that opens up a world of problems.
I'm not married.
Yeah.
So you can give bad advice, right? Okay. Yeah, I was just looking a bit on the web, and I found an interesting antenna in a blog post just 10 years old. And this is, hang on a second, need to get the
Interesting
right
antenna.
Yeah, need to get the right
and I'm going to see
screen
if I can.
on. It's a trapped and fed half wave SOTA antenna. So David VK3AL posted this a long time ago, at least from the comments. And yeah, you need a few traps, and it's an unfed half wave. But look what he managed to achieve with that. I mean, that looks like an interesting project. I mean, you have to spend the time in building the traps, but that would be nice to, take on a POTA or a SOTA trip.
I bought the Nordics on the Air antenna, which the Norwegian Radio Relay League is selling at the Norwegian ham meeting, and that has such bad instructions that it's a trapped and fed half wave, but I can't really trust the instructions on how many wraps for each trap. So that is still not built finished, but the concept is really nice, and having been able to do all the bands on one unfed half wave.
Did you
just building traps yourself? That's pretty much an advanced topic. So
that is not something you do on your second antenna build.
No, it's not. But Tobias, please send the link for that blog article, and I'll make sure that's in the show notes as well.
Sure, I posted in the chat.
Can you
Private
send me
chat.
a message as well? Because I'm never going to find it in the chat.
Yeah, I put it also on Discord.
Excellent. Thank you.
And while we're on the Discord, hamshow.eu/Discord.
Yep.
So
You can make me small again now.
yeah, I think I can do that. I'm on the world's slowest laptop due to some operating system requirements that I needed to fulfill while on this trip. So that's my problem, and I didn't bring 2 laptops on the plane. I probably should have done that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Third antenna next week.
Could be.
I don't know how
maybe
long
it's-
can we milk this topic, right?
We can probably not milk it, but Kjetil actually had a suggestion a couple of weeks ago for next week's topic, so we could play that by the people that are watching and listening and see what they think.
Yeah, and
And-
that topic was, should Morten shave?
No,
Just
no.
kidding.
What happened to Bob's hair?
Yeah, no, the topic was, I think it was suggested by somebody in the suggestions or the show suggestions channel, and that's clubs. Should you join them, or like why are ham radio clubs a good thing, or something in that manner, not in
Yeah.
the leading question way. And that could be your local club. It could, in theory, be a league. It could be the SOTA clubs or anything else that's just a gathering of hams, basically.
Yep. And why a club is a good or not a good thing? As are clubs good or evil?
Depends on the club.
Now we're starting to answer next week's topic already, but
You
But
always
yeah,
meet happy people on club meetings, you know.
yeah, my club is pretty good, but I've understood that there are difference between the different kind of clubs.
Yeah, but
The
it's
Sad Ham Club. No.
I'm pretty sure that a lot of people have some thoughts about it. Some have experiences, and maybe we can angle it towards like what a new ham will do, because an old ham will probably have quite a lot of experience with clubs already.
Yep.
But doesn't hurt to discuss it, and of
Yeah,
course
or
open in
maybe
chat.
people want to post their good or bad experiences with clubs in our Discord, and then we go through the comments, and it
Yeah.
gets a bit more interactive or something like this.
Absolutely. So post your club experiences in the Discord, and we'll take it from there. Just use the show topic section for that. Let's see. Yeah, I made a video about a year ago on 5 reasons why you should join a club. I can't really remember my 5 reasons though, but one of my reasons for being in a club is that there's always cake.
Well, there's
that-
not in ours, but there are cookies.
Yeah, we have cakes.
Yeah,
Oh.
we have waffles.
We have a female ham though that bakes cakes for every meeting.
Yeah, but I don't consent to cookies most of the time, so for me it's not okay. But it is fun. Like this week, I'm driving up 2 hours to my old club to do in-person presentation about QRP and portable radio. So that is a good thing about the club, like those kind of things. So preview of the good things at least.
Yep. And William's got a really good point here, just to tease next week's subject, that pensioners' night's out. And yes, people like the 5 hams you can see or listen to if you were listening to the podcast. We're probably what would be considered, if not children, so youths in any ham radio club.
We are statistical errors.
Yeah.
But I guess Øystein, your son was also learning this, so he will be like probably a typo or something like that.
Well, yeah, but we were part of the club close to here, and actually the first time we were there, me and my son, he came home and said he didn't know it was so fun to talk with old people. So it's really nice to be to meet people with the same interests as you and be shows rules.
I actually met your
Yep.
club president at a store a couple of days ago, Øystein, and he talked about your kid and how fun it was to have a kid in there that wanted to be an operator.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have been quite busy on his ham radio course and haven't had too much time to meet with our club, and we missed that. So maybe this month we get back.
Maybe
Yeah,
I could bring my
and,
my son over to the other side of the Oslofjord and see if your son can rub off on him and get him interested in radio as well.
Yeah, maybe.
You could end up that your son loses interest in radio and just gains interest in Fortnite, but yeah, I don't know if that's the risk you're willing to take.
The thing is, though, Øystein brought his son to me at the one point where I think we did a POTA first, and it turned out that Øystein's son would much rather talk radio with us middle-aged men than talk with my son, which is the same age.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but he does Fortnite as well, and I have a normal kid's life as well.
But I mean, it's just so awesome. So you should absolutely do a talk at one point, Øystein, on how to get kids interested in ham radio, because I want to know your secret.
I think maybe leaving some resistors and capacitors laying around so they can eat when they're small. I don't know.
Sounds like
I
good
don't know.
advice.
So I guess we're at the hour mark today, and next week will be about clubs. So I hope you'll join us there, and thank you, Øystein, for stepping in for Walt on short notice. I'm a little bit sorry that you haven't mentioned the Rubikov yet, but I guess Walt will make up for that when he gets back next week.
Yeah, I can't tell you much about that antenna. Sorry.
No, it's a great antenna. So on that note, I think I'm gonna get back to work actually. So 7-3 all. See you next week.
7-3.
Great.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Thank you.